Hello students, today's topic of discussion is drug discovery and chemical evaluation of drug. So prior coming to the topic, let me give you a short introduction about clinical trials, as this term drug discovery and chemical evaluation of drug is coming from that topic. So let me give you a small brief idea about clinical trial. So, clinical trial is a prospective, ethically designed investigation which is done on human subjects to objectively discover, verify and compare the results of two or more therapeutic measures. So, in this clinical trials are designed in such a way so that to answer one or more precisely framed questions about the value of treating equivalent groups of patients by two or more modalities. Now, what are these modalities? Drugs or maybe dosage regimens or any other interventions. Now, depending on the object of the study, clinical trial may be conducted in healthy volunteer or volunteer patients. So, in this healthy volunteers are used to determine the pharmacokinetic characteristics, tolerability, safety for certain types of drugs. So, now this clinical trial that means a investigation where we need the volunteers. So what these volunteers are going to do? They are going to determine the pharmacokinetic properties. So for this clinical trial, the initial step of starting is drug discovery, and further moving with the forward steps, it includes the chemical evaluation. So this way, these two topics are coming within the clinical trial. Now, in the next slide, I will discuss about the basic idea about clinical trial. So, clinical trial is an introduction, or you can say it is conducted only when the satisfactory information has been gathered on the quality of the non-clinical safety. So, for a basic introduction, you can say this clinical trial is the gathered for the safety or the quality of the non-clinical safety parameters. Next is what? The health authority or the ethics committee approval. So this approval of the health and ethics committee is very important. Why? So that we can choose the proper volunteer for the process of clinical trial. And third is the clinical trial is the mainstay for bringing out new drugs. So here in this introduction, we got 3 points, that is the quality of the non-clinical safety, the health authority or the ethics committee, and for bringing the new drugs, that is to the market with this clinical study. So now next is what? Next is the idea about the clinical trial. So in this idea, what we can see is it is a systematic investigation in human subjects for evaluating the safety and efficacy. So here the keywords are safety and efficacy of a new drug. You know previously while studying the pharmacodynamics or pharmacokinetics that what is safety, what is therapeutic index and what is efficacy of a drug. So the clinical trial is such a systematic investigation which always aims towards the discovery of drugs for evaluating its safety and efficacy. And next is what? Next is what is the objective of clinical trial? It is a set of tests in medical research and drug development that generate the safety and efficacy data for the health interventions in human beings. It means what? It is a set of tests in medical research. That is, it is a statistical analysis procedure has been performed so that the accurate results can be taken for further study. So on your right hand side you can see a diagram. There you can see a funnel shaped object which is pulled with many drugs is given, or chemical compounds you can see, and at the end you can see one compound obtained is shown. This means what? A drug, before it's founded out in the market, it undergoes several stages. So the stage 1 is the drug discovery, stage 2 is the preclinical development, stage 3 is the clinical development, which includes the phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4. Among the stage 3 of clinical development, that is the clinical trial, which includes this 5 phases, and lastly the regulatory approval, whether the drug to be launched on the market. So our topic was drug discovery and chemical evaluation, which is a part of this entire clinical trial. The first stage is drug discovery, which is followed by the preclinical development, then clinical development or clinical trial you can say, and followed by the regulatory approval so that the drug is launched in the market. So next is the flow chart of a drug discovery cycle. So now in the drug discovery cycle, what happens? You can see we are starting on with the compound collection, that is our raw material, which undergoes two types of assays, that is primary assay and secondary assay. What is the purpose of primary assay? Is high throughput screening. And what is the purpose of a secondary assay? It undergoes efficacy, bioavailability, toxicity, and this is in vivo and this is in vitro. Now both this forms the lead compound. This lead compound then undergoes a structural characterization process. The structural characterization process undergoes the design, chemical synthesis, and further from the secondary assay it undergoes the candidate drug. That means this drug is suitable to undergo the clinical trial. So for this, first it undergoes a primary assay, secondary assay, lead compound, structural analysis or structural characterization, then it undergoes the protein ligand complex, then it undergoes a chemical synthesis, design, and further we get this candidate drug. So this way the drug discovery cycle or the schematic cycle is properly drawn. Next is the various stages of drug development. See, these drug discovery, drug development, I am just portraying or sketching out the basic. What does it contain primarily? Further, I will just garnish up with other knowledges in the next slide. But in the first slide, as it is completely new to all of you, so you should know that what does a drug discovery comprise of? What does a drug development comprise of? These things may look easy, but it comprises of further more things. This is just the basic layout of the drug development process. So in this drug development, you can see we are provided with the 4 steps, that is drug discovery, drug design, drug trials, and drug manufacturing process. So in the drug discovery, we can see that it contains the project idea, means how the drug to be discovered, the funding, that is the amount of financial contribution that you need, the literature surveys or the literature searches for the drug, the screening or the trial or error testing, that is known as the hits, and the natural product extraction. Next, among the drug design, we need the lead compound optimization or lead optimization, or ADME, that is adsorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. Further, in the drug trials, it includes the preclinical trial, pre-formulation, ADME, clinical trials, and the clinical trial phases, that is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4. And this includes the NDA, that is new drug application. This is a type of patent that is provided for the discovery and the drug development of a new drug. And finally, we are going to the final step, that is the drug manufacturing process, which includes the large-scale production, formulation and regulatory review. And these forms under the sales or the delivery, that is the FDA, or you can say this is goes to the next step is pharmacovigilance. So these are the compact steps of a new drug development after the drug discovery process. So here you can see an entire layout of the drug discovery to its preclinical trial, to its clinical trial, to its FDA review. Means from the starting step of drug discovery, it undergoes the TV. TV is a target validation assay, various types of assays, primary or secondary assay, then HTS. HTS is a high throughput screening, as I discussed previously. Then it goes the H2L. H2L is a hit to lead, and then is the LO, that is a lead optimization. So these 5 steps are undergone under the drug discovery process, and this has been approved by IND application. IND is a investigational new drug. It approves this drug discovery process, and this process of drug discovery to preclinical takes about 6.5 years. So this is also very, very important. Then followed by the preclinical, that is the animal testing procedure is being taken place. Then is the clinical trial, where it includes phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. In the phase 1, we require 100 to 200 volunteers. Phase 2, 100 to 500 volunteers. And in the phase 3, 1000 to 5000 volunteers are required. And further is the FDA review, where finally the approved drug is taken place, and this has been done by NDA or ANDA. See, NDA is a new drug application, ANDA is the abbreviated new drug application, and this clinical trial takes about 7 years, and further this FDA approval, that is Food and Drug Administration, that is NDA, that is a new drug application, and the investigational new drug application takes place about 1.5 years to finally launch the marketed drug for the society and for the benefits of the society. So here once again I will just recap the various phases of the clinical trials, you can say, starting from the drug discovery, then the preclinical animal testing, then the investigational new drug application, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 studies, NDA, that is the new drug applications, and finally the FDA reviewers who will approve the application, whether it is approved or not, and finally the drug will be marketed in the society. So thank you students for listening to this video, and this is just the primary touch of the drug development process, drug discovery process and the clinical trial. This will just provide you the initial knowledge about a clinical trial, drug discovery, drug development and FDA process. In the next class, we are going to polish and brush up with each of the phases in a detailed account. Hope this will help you in solving your assignments and make it fruitful for your studies. Thank you.